We're wrapping up the NFL draft by telling you which teams aced it and which teams failed it. Max Chadwick alongside PJ Clark and Tate Sigworth on this final 2020 draft edition of the Mr.
It's a
Irrelevant
shame.
Draft Podcast.
It's sad. I can't believe it.
Guys, it's a little weird. You're watching this on
I know.
YouTube right now, which is weird because we now have a YouTube channel. So make sure you guys subscribe and like this video on our YouTube channel. We have all our videos now on this channel. So make sure you guys stay tuned to this. It should be a lot easier to see our content. Look, guys, like I mentioned before, a lot of teams did really, really well in this draft. Not a lot of drafts I hated, but I was able to find 5 that I didn't like. PJ, first, though, what are your 5 drafts that you loved?
Yeah, so I actually had a lot more than 5. There were probably 10 teams that could have made my top 5 here. I thought a lot of people did a good job. I was kind of impressed with being that this draft was all on tape and really no interviews and stuff like that. I was impressed with how well GMs actually did. But number 5, got to be a homer. Costco Joe Douglas hit it out of the park with his first draft. I was really impressed. Mekhi Becton, we all saw my reaction. Not thrilled, but fits the zone run scheme. You could have done worse at 11. I still would have taken worse, so I'm still a little pissed off at that one. Getting Denzel Mims at 59, my number 10 overall best pick. After a trade back, I thought he should have taken him at 48. I was quickly proven wrong. Really impressed by that one. Ashton Davis at 68 looks better the more I watch it, the more I think about it. Marcus May's replacement, don't have to pay him next year. Really like the Cam Clark pick at 129, and Bryce Hall, my number 2 overall favorite pick, at pick 158, a top 40 player for me. Getting him in the 6th round, absolutely absurd. So Costco Joe Douglas, number 4. I have Denver getting Jerry Jeudy, my number 3 overall prospect at number 15. Really impressive. And I love the KJ Hamler pick. Go get your young QB weapons. Drew Lock, no excuses now for him. Lloyd Cushenberry, 83. Love that one. You took Albert Oguenabaum at 118, a tight end that a lot of people had as the best tight end in the class. And Netani Moody, I know Max is going to get into him a little bit later at 181. Thought John Elway, best draft yet as the head of the Denver Broncos. Number 3, I had Minnesota. Really loved Minnesota. It's a volume thing, but I think they hit on a couple. Justin Jefferson at 22, I thought was a steal. Jeff Gladney, another good guy to get in the first round. Ezra Cleveland at 58. I was surprised he fell that far. Cameron Dantzler, and a guy I know Max likes, at 89. And he had 11 picks on day 3. Again, I said it's a volume thing, but Troy Dye at 132, one of my 5 best players going into day 3. And Kyle Hinton at 253, even in the 7th round there, I really liked. Number 2 and number 1, very close for me. I had Dallas at number 2, CeeDee Lamb, my number 8 overall prospect, getting him at 17. No business falling that far. Trevon Diggs, not a huge fan at 51, but they made up for it with Bradley and I at 179, and Tyler Biadasz, one of my favorite guys in the whole draft, at 176. And number 1, feels like they're number 1 every other year. The Baltimore Ravens absolutely knocked this one out of the park. Patrick Queen, my number 3 overall favorite pick, getting him at 28. He's going to slot right into that defense. I didn't love the J.K. Dobbins pick, but they made up for it. Justin Madubuike at 71, Devin Duvernay at 92, Ben Bredesen at 143, James Prochet and Geno Stone in the 7th round there, 201 and 219. Those are guys that I thought were going to get picked on day 2 or round 4 at the latest. I thought Ozzie Newsome and company there really knocked it out of the park.
PJ's favorite draft class has a running back in the 2nd round. Max, your thoughts?
Yeah, PJ, not really great for the brand there.
No.
But what they did surrounding it, I mean, Madubuike was a borderline 1st round guy for me, and they got him in the 3rd. Devin Duvernay at 92, I thought was a steal. And hey, you could do worse than a running back in the 2nd round, apparently now.
Fair. Tate, what about you?
Okay, yeah. So my 5th best class goes to the Denver Broncos. PJ touched on it, so I won't go too crazy on it. They're getting Drew Lock some weapons and Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. I don't love KJ Hamler, but I mean, I like the pick. I've given Drew Lock some attention and given him some weapons. And Tony Moody, like PJ mentioned, at 181 overall is a very good pick. Lloyd Cushenberry has a couple questions, but 83 overall is very good for him. And really only one miss in the cornerback Michael Ojemudia at 77 overall. My 4th best class is the New Orleans Saints. They really, in my opinion, were the best position coming in because they didn't really have any crazy needs, which makes their draft class a lot easier. The 1st round pick of Cesar Ruiz good football player. A little confusing, I guess, for the team's fit, but he's a good football player. He's going to help out their team for a long time. Zach Bond, very good football player. Fell down to the third round just because of that failed test at the combine. So getting him at 74, I thought was a good look. I loved Adam Troutman at 105, my tight end 1. I've said this before. And then they got Tommy Stevens at 240 overall. It's like not a crazy pick, but he's a weapon, dynamic player that they could use. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't pan out to anything, it's a 7th round pick. Who cares?
Yeah, absolutely. Taysom Hill almost.
They're throwing that around with him and Jalen.
Hey, what about Jameis? What about Jameis?
I know. They have so many quarterbacks. It's absurd over there. My third best class is the Cincinnati Bengals, division rival, but they got 2 of my guys, so I feel like I couldn't not include them in this. Number 1, Joey Burrow. And then my 2 guys, T. Higgins to start off the 2nd round, and then my guy, Logan Wilson, the linebacker, in the 3rd round, 65th overall. 3 seasons of 100-plus tackles, 11 passes defended, and 4 interceptions in 2019. Turned his coverage up a little notch this last year. I love him. I was pissed the Browns didn't get him in the 3rd round, but it is what it is. And then they also got Akeem Davis Gather in the 4th round, back-to-back 100-plus tackle seasons. They've had defended a lot of last year. It's a good pick. And then they got some good depth as well. Number 2, I'm nothing but a homer. So the Cleveland Browns, they dressed team values or team needs.
That's more egregious than my homer. I'm sorry. That's more egregious than my homer.
I disagree. The Browns had a very good draft. Jedrick Wills is day 1 ready to tackle. I don't really like Grant Delpit, but it's a good value. At 44 overall, Jordan Elliott was a steal. He's the 23rd player according to Max Chadwick's favorite PFF. Wow. Nick Harris, the center from Washington, is going to be huge for offensive line depth. And when JC Treader,
I get yelled at for sacrificing my brand, and this guy is complimenting Grant Delpit. That's even worse.
That is bad for the brand.
That's even worse.
In my notes, it says can't tackle but good value.
If
Nick Harris,
value,
center, like I talked about.
Great in coverage.
Like I said, moving on, PJ. I'm moving on. And then they also got Donovan Peoples-Jones, the wide receiver from Michigan, who is a heck of an athlete, makes some tremendous plays, and gets held back by Shea Patterson, who's a terrible quarterback. And I won $20 off my Michigan fan roommate because I made the bet that he would not get drafted, and my idiot roommate thinks he would get drafted.
He hasn't even been signed.
I don't think he's been signed either.
No,
because he's horrible.
What a bad bet.
Which, great bet for me, but leads me to my number 1 team, the best draft class in my opinion. There was a lot of good drafts, like PJ said. Number 1, Minnesota Vikings, 16 picks. It's not just a volume thing. I love the Justin Jefferson pick. Him at 22 was really good. Jeff Gladney, who I was really high on at 31, I think is great value. Ezra Cleveland at 58 is great value. Cameron Dantzler, I thought was a very nice pick at 89th overall. I know PFF at Max is high on him. And then Troy Dye, another guy that PFF was big on, at all the way down at 132. And then on top of that, they got 11 more picks to add to their depth. I thought the Minnesota Vikings made very smart value picks at the start. And just continued on throughout the whole draft.
Yeah, no, I love the Minnesota Vikings too. That's why they're in my number 5 draft. Look, you mentioned 15 picks. Some of them have to be good. So Justin Jefferson at 22, I think is going to fit them really well after losing Stephon Diggs. I like the Gladney pick a lot as well at 31. I thought it was a really, really good pick. Love the Dantzler pick. I'm not as high on him as PFF is, but I like him a lot at 89. I mean, that's a really, really good value. Ezra Cleveland I thought was a good pick as well. I love the Troy Dye pick, the Kenny Willix pick as well for the Vikings. Makes a lot of sense there. So they're my number 5 class. Number 4, the Denver Broncos. I mean, they needed speed at receiver, and they got it. Jerry Jeudy at 15 is one of the biggest steals of the first round. My number 1 receiver, I think he's number 1 receiver for everyone here. Loved him. KJ Hamler in the 2nd round, too. I thought it was a great pick. All he is speed, and I thought it was great. Natani Moody, who I loved a lot. He's I think my best interior lineman. He's a 6th round pick. That's a steal. And I like the Derek Tuszka at 254, 1 pick before Mr. Irrelevant. I thought he should have gone a lot earlier than that. So at 254, he's a steal. So I love that class at number 4, the Broncos. 3, Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb at 17 was maybe my favorite pick of the first round. I thought he could have been a top 10 pick, and he did it and went to 17. I love that. Trayvon Diggs, I'm not as high on, but they need a press man. They run a lot of press, and he fits that perfectly. Neville Gallimore makes a lot of sense. Biotish, Bradley Anai, both great values in day 3. So I love the Cowboys class. 2, it's starting to look worse now that news came out. Vance Joseph, the Cardinals, my number 2 class. Vance Joseph, their D coordinator, said, we're putting Isaiah Simmons at linebacker. He's not going to play much corner or safety.
Wow,
that's a miss,
drafting
man.
the 3rd best linebacker at 8 overall. I hate to
What a
see that.
miss. What a miss by Vance Joseph. I mean, I said the only way Isaiah Simmons can bust is if the D coordinator is not creative, and Vance Joseph sounds very not creative right now. So hopefully he changes his mind, but still Isaiah Simmons at 8 I like a lot. They traded their 2nd rounder for DeAndre Hopkins. Love that. They needed a tackle. I was really mad they didn't take a tackle in the 1st. I thought they could have taken over Isaiah Simmons, but they got Josh Jones at 72nd overall. I mean, I love that guy. I thought he was maybe the 4th best tackle in the draft. And at number 72, that's a steal. I thought it was one of the biggest steals of the draft. And number 2, I mean, congratulations. The Cleveland Browns, man. Jedrick Wills, Grant Delpit, Jordan Elliott, all in my top 25 players. And the Browns got all 3 of them in round 1, 2, and 3. I mean, that speaks for itself for me. So I loved what the Browns did in this draft. Tate, I want to ask you, though, what are the 5 teams that you thought failed this 2020 NFL draft?
And like PJ said also at the start of this episode, there weren't a lot of these guys. I think some of these, the 4 and the 5s on my list are kind of like they had fine drafts, not horrible drafts. But I'll lay into them anyways. Number 5, the New England Patriots. They needed a quarterback, didn't draft a quarterback. Instead, they settled for Lamar Chase.
James Morgan, baby. How about Costco Joe taking it right out from under him, baby?
Imagine PJ liking the James Morgan pick. That's horrible. So the Pats went Kyle Duggar, who I thought was their best pick, safety. I like Kyle Duggar. I thought it was a good pick in the 2nd round. Then they went Josh Uche, who knows how to play in coverage but can't rush the ball. Anfernee Jennings, who I thought was a reach at 87. Then they traded up for 2 tight ends who aren't that good, Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. PJ's Jets fleeced them for Dalton Keene at 101, but that was hilarious. There's better tight ends on the board, and I Dalton Keene is not tight end 3, who I think he was at that point. Devin Asiasi maybe tight end 2 at that point. Only Cole Kmet had gone. They drafted a kicker who has some character problems / concerns. If you're on Twitter, you know what's up. And then their other 4 picks are just duds. The Pats, I'm sorry, they just didn't have a good draft. And they had like 12 picks or something. They had all this draft capital, and they still goofed it.
Patriots underratedly have not had a good draft in a long time.
True.
Yeah, and in 2020 included. Leads me to my next team, the number 4, Bill O'Brien's Houston Texans.
You're kicking him. That doesn't even count, man. It's not fun to make fun of him anymore.
He's bad. He reached for Ross Blacklock.
It's like
he reached for Jonathan Greenard. Charlie Heck, he got 126. PFF has him at 248 overall. And Jack Driscoll was available. Jack Driscoll's a good tackle. Who went 145th. He went like 15 picks or something later than Charlie Heck. That's a horrible pick, Bill. John Reed was a good pick from Penn State. Shout out Max.
Huge.
And then Isaiah Coulter in the 5th round. KJ Hill available. Don't know what's up with that. I like KJ Hill more than Isaiah Coulter. That's why the Texans are number 4. Number 3 didn't have a whole draft, but I don't know. I don't really like Cole Kmet. I got the Bears at 3 here. The Bears took Cole Kmet at 43rd overall. I thought their pick of Jalen Johnson at 50 was very good. I thought that was great value. He probably should have gone a lot higher than 50. But then all their other picks, I don't know. I'm just meh on. So I put him at 3. Okay, so now we're at number 2. I got the Seattle Seahawks. I know they're doing their thing, but Jordan Brooks in the 1st round's a reach. Darrell Taylor is a reach, the 2nd pick. And then Damian Lewis, the guard, he wasn't a horrible pick, but again, I think there's just better ones on the board. Jonah Jackson from the Ohio State, John Simpson from PJ's Clemson. I thought they should have gone there. And then all their other picks, I don't know, DJ Dallas, there's just better players available. I don't like the running back pick there in the 4th round. But they did get our boy Alton Robinson from Syracuse University. Although I will also add in that Curtis Weaver was available. Anyways, leads me to my worst class, my worst team, worst draft class from the 2020 NFL draft. I think he's going to be on all of our boards at number 1. It's the Green Bay Packers. Trading up for Jordan Love was head scratching, I guess, to say the least. Jordan Love was not good in college. Has terrible decision making. The only upside of that is they only gave away a 4th rounder. And if they can get Aaron Rodgers to stay for a whole bunch of years and Jordan Love not to play at all and just learn behind Aaron Rodgers, maybe that will become something. But I don't know. They could have just waited until 3 or 4 years when Aaron Rodgers is ready to retire, and then they draft the new Aaron Rodgers replacement, not doing this Jordan Love thing, which is horrible. Then in the second round, they went A.J. Dillon and drafted a goal line running back in the second round. I mean, that's horrendous. That, I think, is the worst pick of the draft.
Yeah.
A.J. Dillon, that's horrible. And then Josiah DeGura. I mean, he's the 3rd tight end taken. There's just better ones available. Josiah's a nobody, and then the rest of their picks suck. So the Green Bay Packers are the worst class of the 2020 NFL draft.
So let me just say it's a lot more fun being negative than positive. So I think we're gonna have a lot more fun with these. Number 5 may come as a surprise to a lot of people out there, but the Miami Dolphins. You had my favorite pick of the whole draft. You took Tua Tagovailoa. You got it right at 5 when he shouldn't have even been there in the first place. QB1 at 5. After that, an unmitigated disaster.
Oh, Curtis Weaver.
Absolutely terrible. Austin Jackson at 18. Are you out of your mind? Noah Igbinoghene at 30. Are you insane? 1 pick before Jeff Gladney. Robert Hunt at 39, Raekwon Davis at 56, Brandon Jones barely even plays football at 70, Malcolm Perry in the 7th round. I like that one. That guy's a football player. And Curtis Weaver at 164, I guess, is fine, but there must have been a reason we were all so high on him.
And a long snapper, too.
Yeah, a long snapper. Miami. Tua's made of glass, so I'll be the first one to admit that. He's a really good football player, but you didn't do enough to help your boy out. Number 4 for me, just because I thought it was super curious and I was high on exactly none of the guys they took, is Carolina going 7 for 7 on defense. I thought it was really, really weird. A weird first Matt Rule draft. Derek Brown at 7. Kinlaw's better than him. Yetur Gross-Matos at 38 is fine. I think Zach Bond is better than him. Jeremy Chin at 64, I think, is probably their best pick of the whole draft. Troy Pride at 113. Notre Dame defensive players, meh. And then their guys after that, not that great. 7 for 7 on defense. I just thought it was really curious. Number 3, Tate mentioned it, New England. Super questionable. I have no doubts that Kyle Duggar is going to be a superstar under Bill Belichick, and probably Josh Uche too. But the 2 tight end things, the kicker at 159, I really didn't get either of those. The trades they made, trading up for both tight ends, I don't know why you're giving up draft capital for blockers. What are these? This is going to be like used against me in 2 years when one of those guys is Gronk and the other one is Aaron Hernandez without the murders and stuff. But like, whatever. New England just way out of left field here. Number 2, the Rams sucked so bad. And I know it's hard. Tate had Houston, who didn't have a first-round pick. I know it's hard to judge people who didn't have a first-round pick. Cam Akers at 52, get out of here. Van Jefferson at 57 was my favorite pick they had, one of my favorite picks of the whole draft, because that guy's awesome. But that 57 felt like a reach. I don't know about taking him ahead of Mims, who went 2 picks later. Terrell Lewis, 84, literally always hurt. Can't stay on the football field. Terrell Burgess at 104 is meh. Bryson Hopkins at 136 stinks.
Not bad. No, it's not bad.
They took a kicker instead of Rodrigo Blankenship. Wrong kicker. Sean McVay having a good time out there in Los Angeles, and Tate brought it up. I mean, the Packers at number 1, just one of the worst drafts I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, literally the single worst use of draft capital I have ever seen. And you mentioned trading up, whatever. They only give up a 4. The point of drafting a rookie quarterback, you can sit him for 2 years, but you have a rookie quarterback so you can play him on his rookie deal and use the cap savings elsewhere. Aaron Rodgers is under contract for 4 more years, and that's pretty much immovable. Jordan Love has a 4-year contract with a 5th-year option. So the 5th-year option is going to be picked up. A-Rod's going to be gone, and the 5th-year option nukes all of the cap value for a rookie quarterback. So if you're doing this to play the cap game, unless you got somebody take on the Rodgers contract, I don't see it. So I really, really Matt LaFleur out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One draft, I don't know if either of you hit on it, was the Raiders for me. Look, I like Ruggs over Judy and Lamb.
Oh,
It's
come
interesting.
on, man.
I don't hate the Ruggs
Come
pick.
on.
I don't hate the Ruggs pick,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
interesting. Arnett at 19 was the biggest
Nope.
reach of the first round.
No slander.
I
No slander.
hated
We are
that
not
pick.
slandering that pick.
He's
We're
not
slandering
athletic.
that pick.
He's not athletic. Had
What do
barely
you
any
mean?
production, and he's 24 years old. I mean,
Max
are you
Chadwick,
serious?
show me a receiver this year that scored on Damon Arnett. Here's the problem. You're never going to be able to find one. Damon Arnett didn't throw a touchdown in coverage this year.
He
I
wasn't
know
even a
it's
number
your
one
reach,
corner.
but
Wasn't
that's
even the number one. Or even number
That's
two
no
corner,
slander.
too. With
He
Sean
wasn't
Wade
the
there.
number two. Yeah,
No
he
slander.
wasn't the number two either.
A broken wrist.
Didn't love Damon Arnett. Didn't love Damon Arnett at all. Didn't love the value they got any of their day 2 picks either. I didn't love any of those. For the Rams, Cam Akers in the second round was very, very high, man. And the problem with Cam Akers is people say, oh, he was bad because he had a bad O-line at Florida State. Well, guess what? The Rams O-line, not great. So he doesn't have a great O-line in Los Angeles either. So he might look like the same player there, which isn't worth a second-round pick. Also, PJ, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Van Jefferson at 57, I thought was pretty high for him. I mean, he's also.
I said it was a reach. I would have taken Mims over.
He's 24 years old, never had more than 700 yards in a season, 657 yards in a season in 4 years. I mean, I think it was a reach for 57. Didn't love the Rams draft at all after that. You just got depth pieces, in my opinion, so didn't love Los Angeles. 3, the Seahawks. Jordan Brooks at 27, man. What on earth was that? I didn't like that pick at all. Darrell Taylor, I thought was a little bit of reach as well. And then Parkinson and Sullivan don't do much for you at tight end. Don't love the Seahawks draft at all. 2, Los Angeles Chargers. Bad draft for Los Angeles, man. Herbert at 6, which, I mean, was just inexcusable in my opinion. That's going to go down as maybe one of the worst picks ever. You're going to look back at it and you're going to say, what on earth was Chargers thinking? Then you trade 37 and 71 to move up to get Kenneth Murray instead of Patrick Queen. What did you see in Kenneth Murray that says he's better than Patrick Queen? I don't get it at all.
Max Chadwick, he will knock your lights out. He will make you unconscious,
he will.
put you in a coma.
He will, but he can't cover. So he probably can't even cover me. We'll see after I run a 4.5 next year.
This guy
And
literally, he can't stop.
Number 1, I mean, you guys mentioned it, and it's the Green Bay Packers. I mean, maybe the worst draft I've ever seen in my life. They traded up for Love, and PG, you just mentioned it. Rookie quarterback contracts are insanely valuable. However, Aaron Rodgers is under contract for 4 more years, and Jordan Love isn't even that good. I mean, I probably would have taken him 3rd round at best. A.J. Dillon hated that pick. DeGuara hated that pick. Horrible. They got just depth on the O-line. And the biggest problem with them, their biggest need was wide receiver. They didn't draft a freaking wide receiver. What on earth were the Green Bay Packers thinking in this draft? I hated this draft. The other 4 on my list I disliked, but they had some good moments. The Green Bay Packers didn't do a single thing right, in my opinion. I mean, I thought it was absolutely horrible. Listen, that was all of our coverage on the 2020 draft. Of course, this is our YouTube now. You can see all of our previous videos on all the positions. All of them.
Hit the playlist.
So you can see all of our opinions on these guys. Also, make sure you guys follow our Twitter at @IrrelevantDraft. Like and subscribe to this channel as well so you can get notifications when we put out a new video. So we're moving on now, guys. We got the 2021 NFL Draft a year away.
Roll it.
Let's go, baby.
Roll it.
All in. But we're not just an NFL draft channel. MLB draft, NBA draft, NHL draft, whatever draft you can think of, we're going to cover it. So if you like any of those drafts, make sure you follow us too, because we'll be doing a lot of content now that the NFL draft is over. So for PJ Clark, for Tate Sigworth, I'm Max Chadwick. Stay irrelevant.